Welcome to the Saucetown Investor Podcast.
Over the course of two different podcasts that I've hosted over the years, I've probably interviewed around 100 guests, give or take. The experience with my most recent guest was one that I had never encountered before. But first, let's rewind a little bit. In recent weeks, I've pivoted toward interviewing more authors and historians and subject matter experts on various topics as opposed to just real estate investors. To my real estate investors out there, I love you and I am one of you, but our stories all start to sound the same. Something like I started off buying single family homes, then I bought smallplex, then I discovered seller finance, then I started raising money for apartments, etc. And I'm not ragging on any of you. This is quite literally my story as well. So I think you see the problem here. I love reading nonfiction, and I've been getting some really cool authors to come on the podcast recently, and we'll have more of them in the coming weeks. My most recent guest, whose name, of course, I will not share, is a very successful author. I enjoyed the heck out of this guy's book and was incredibly excited to have him on the podcast. There was a bit of back and forth before eventually he agreed to come on. After canceling and rescheduling for various reasons on our first few attempts, I finally got him on a video interview to discuss his book. He had originally wanted to cap our interview at 30 minutes, but the conversation was going great and we stayed on for about 50. We finished the interview, chatted for a few, and I let him know we would be posting it on all platforms, Instagram, YouTube, etc., in a few days. And frankly, I was stoked. Like, it was an awesome interview, and I couldn't wait to share it with you guys and with our subscribers. I let our guests know that, as usual, I'd send him a link when the episode dropped. So release day rolls around and we're out on all platforms. And during this time, I'm down in New Orleans with my fiance celebrating her birthday. She had to take a few work calls, so I slipped away for a solo trip to the National World War II Museum, which, guys, if you're in NOLA, you absolutely got to go to this place. It's not just, Bourbon Street. It's a great place to party and all that, but this museum is one of the coolest I've ever been to. So I'm there at the World War II Museum, and somewhere between the Normandy exhibit and the Battle of Midway, I look at my phone, which had been on Do Not Disturb. This is what happens. I have 3 missed calls, 2 emails, and probably 7 texts from this aforementioned podcast guest from the previous week. The texts are all different versions of take this down, this is terrible, etc. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I was totally confused because I thought the episode was awesome. I was like, did my video editor like post something bad, or did he make a mistake? So I come to find out our guest had listened to the episode and was mortified at the number of etc. that he had mixed in, which, we all do that. I just did in fact. He was also upset that the interview had gone 50 minutes instead of 30. I mentioned to him that I thought we were having fun and I didn't want to cut you off. We kept the interview going because it was interesting and we were having a good time. There were a few other minor details that no one else on earth besides our guests would notice. I listened to the episode to give it an honest listen to see if it was truly as bad as he said it was. The sad part about this, our guest was thoughtful and well-spoken. This poor guy is entirely in his own head about this. So my phone continues ringing via call, email, and text throughout this process. Our guest wants me to take the episode down and have my social media guy go back and edit out every single time he uses a filler word. Seriously, I'm not making this up. So keep in mind, editing one of these episodes takes my guy, shout out to Jay, he'll be editing this very episode. It takes him 4 to 5 hours to do one of these. He does a really nice job with it. It's not easy. So to accomplish what our guest wants, Jay would literally have to start this process from scratch again. Alas, for some reason, we agree to do it. So I put my phone back on Do Not Disturb and make the turn at the museum toward the Battle of the Bulge. These soldiers, I'll tell you, were going through a hell of a lot worse than having to deal with a needy podcast guest. I check my phone again, probably 20 minutes later or so. Shocker. I have 3 more missed calls, a couple emails to my social media guy, Jay, and myself, and probably 5 to 6 more texts. He had sent a few texts 10 minutes earlier stating that the episode had not been taken down yet and we needed to take it down immediately. Then, after I didn't respond immediately because I'm on vacation in a museum, he informed me that he was contacting his legal counsel. Yes, you read that right. You heard that right. We're getting lawyers involved over using filler words in a podcast episode. I'd seen enough at this point. The next text I sent to him said this, quote, "This is no longer worth the headache or distraction. I do not monitor my phone all day, and I opened it up to find out that you're threatening legal action against me over a podcast. I will have my social guy take it down. We will not be editing it or reposting it. Please do not contact my staff or I again." Hey guys, we're taking a quick break, but before we get back into it, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us to keep bringing you more valuable content. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a review. Please, it makes a huge difference. All right, let's get back to it. It honestly bummed me out. I'd spent a ton of time and effort to even get this guy on the podcast. We rescheduled 3 times. I prepped hard to give him good interview questions. Then my poor social guy, Jay, spent 5 hours editing it, and he was excited about it too because it was awesome. Despite the way he was acting, I even felt bad for the guest. This guy was so deep in his own head. A few years ago, I'd probably tell him tough luck. You agreed to come on this podcast. We treated you fairly and we busted our ass to make sure this was a great episode. These days, I've learned that sometimes it's best to just cut bait when someone is acting unhinged or irrational. This guy was stressing me out, taking up my staff and my own mental bandwidth, and just bringing overall chaos into our day-to-day business. I also knew damn well that after doing all of his edits and giving him exactly what he wanted, he was still going to find a problem with it. So catch and release it is. On to the next one. I've written and talked extensively about looking for justice and why it is often a fool's errand. I didn't do anything wrong here and had every right to post this podcast. No matter. Sometimes it's just not worth it. In the big picture, you need to get used to accepting minor injustices on the road to bigger wins. In my real estate business, I've dealt with the following situations the last couple of months. So here's a few examples. A guy I was selling a house to flaked at the last minute, leaving me with a $4,500 bill for work that was done to remove furniture from the house he was buying from me. This poor guy who did all the work, small business owner, nice guy, was about to get stiffed because this guy just walked on the transaction and he was supposed to pay the move out guy. So what I do, I paid him. I was the good guy. I paid $4,500 that I shouldn't have had to pay. And on top of that, so I paid $4,500 and I got the privilege of my deal blowing up, which cost me probably $20K and getting stuck with a $4,500 bill. The sleazeball who did this will not pay a price for it. Here's another one. A seller who I was under contract with to purchase a fourplex decided days before closing that they didn't want to do it anymore. There was no clause in the contract that allowed them to do this, but they didn't care. They just weren't going to show up to closing. I let it happen. I could have sued. It crossed my mind, but I decided it wasn't worth it. Here's another one, number 3. I could give you guys a million, but I showed up at a rental property of mine that I was getting ready to sell, and I found a squatter living in it. So the previous renter, who owes me about $7,000, had let this woman move in. She knew all about the Oregon squatter rules, telling me she'd make my life hell, string me out in court, etc. I paid her $3,000 on the spot to leave my house that she was illegally occupying. Yes, she was in my house illegally, and I paid her $3,000. So in some circles, they call this breaking and entering that she was doing. In Oregon, you actually get paid to do it. liberty and justice for all. I could go on and on with examples, but the point is that life is full of injustices and people who act out. Here are a few questions I try to ask myself before deciding if it's worth going to war or if I should just walk and or pay the piper and move on. Number 1, is the juice worth the squeeze? The point here is not to turn each of you into pushovers who just blindly move on because it's the easy thing to do. What I am suggesting is that you consider what your upside is and what your downside is. Telling this guy to kick rocks and posting the podcast anyway gets me one cool podcast episode. Don't get me wrong, that's great. I also didn't lose $1 million here. But the downside is him blowing up my phone till kingdom come, wasting my time and my staff's time, and maybe even being bored or unhinged enough to hire a lawyer over this thing. Question number 2, should I have even done it in the first place? So this is a tough one, but there's definitely a case to be made that I should have cut this thing off before it started. This podcast guest had rescheduled 3 times for various reasons, which was a bit of a red flag. Next question. Abundance mindset. Am I thinking small? Thinking in abundance is the biggest mindset change I've been working to make in my business and life. So a scarcity mindset implies that there is a small pie and we all need to scratch and claw for our slice of it. Abundance implies it's not only a huge fucking pie, but that we can make it even bigger by working together. Podcast guests being weird, whatever. I'll find 100 more awesome guests. Seller flakes on a real estate deal, who cares? There are endless deals. That's what an abundance mindset is. Next question to ask. What impact does this have on my reputation? Here's a quote. A wise man told me, don't argue with fools, because people from a distance can't tell who is who. If you know, you know. That's Jay-Z, smart man, billionaire, one of a business icon, obviously a rap icon. So it doesn't matter who is right. Sometimes it doesn't matter who's right, I should say. No one reads the details or takes the time to understand exactly what happened from the outside. And why would they? People have better things to do. In many cases, all that people see is your name and that it's associated with drama and conflict. They don't care about your side of the story or who is quote unquote right. This can massively impact your reputation. Choose your battles carefully. Special author's note to those of you engaging in Facebook arguments. Spoiler alert, there are no winners. So take the example of my fourplex that the seller flaked on. If I sue this guy, I know I'm right, but all that gets out there to the whole, the Salem extended area real estate community, which is a small community, is just that this guy files lawsuits all the time, and it's not worth it. I don't want my reputation to be the litigation guy. So we all have finite time on Earth and a finite amount of brain power. The more people you run into or do business with, the more awesome humans you're going to get to meet. Additionally, you will also meet some bad apples or even good people going through bad moments. You have to know how to pick your battles. The great Kenny Rogers said it better than I ever could. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Thanks. That is a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Saucetown Investor. If you got value from this, drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Did you have a big takeaway? Is there a topic you want to see us cover next time? Is there a guest you want to see interviewed? DMs are open. Business is at Saucetown Properties, and my personal, you can DM me personally, is at The Real Matt Cox 4. We'd also like to ask you kindly to please like and subscribe. You can also follow along with the Saucetown Investor blog. That's mattcox444.substack.com. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, keep investing and stay saucy, Saucetown.